We are live. Welcome to the Lynn and Sheryl Show. I'm Lynn Serrano.
And I'm Cheryl, the other side.
Let's see. Okay, let's try something. It's kind of weird. Okay, now it says we're live. So, anyhow, welcome to the show. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back. Hey, Cheryl. I don't know. I got some error. I was like, what? But I see live over there. I don't see live there. I don't know. But I got a green light. So I was like, okay, never seen that green light before.
Hey, nothing like a screwed up entrance, whatever. That's the
You
top of
know,
my day today.
yeah, speaking of whatever, yesterday I had in memory of my brother's show, and I had all these plans of what was going to go on and whatever, and we had technical difficulties getting Henry Lawrence on there. He ended up showing up, but it was one of those things where nobody knows if it's mess ups or whatever. It's just, but it's so funny that perspective of like, but it should have been this way, it should have been that way. You know what? That doesn't matter. And which brings me to the topic today, as far as mother's perspective. I love that you came up with this topic. So if you want to start with the idea and where we're going to go with this, would be great.
Well, the idea, I mean, we can go any direction you want to. You know, I fly both wings. But where I started with it is, yeah, we had Mother's Day. You and I are both mothers.
Mhm.
We got, we got the presents, we got the pats on the back, we got everything that came with Mother's Day. But without our children, we cannot be mothers.
Mhm.
And so um, it's, I sometimes think we need to thank them for being the children that made us what we are.
Yeah, and what made us what we are is something too, because one way or another we have an impact that's good or bad or both into our children's lives. And one comes from kids don't come with directions, right? So without coming with directions, and then you have your personal life going on with your child. I mean, and the surroundings, and you against the world and having your child. So, if I think it was a couple years ago, I had dinner with my daughters and their spouses and stuff, and I sat back and I looked and I said, I'm so blessed that these kids still love me because of the impact and the things that I put them through, because I wasn't strong there, I wasn't empowered then. And so they had a rough life because I just couldn't handle things. And so, needless to say, I did the best I could, but I don't feel like that's the excuse. I wish I could have done better, wish I would have known better. So again, just knowing that they still love me regardless of that means the world to me, because I mean, your parents set either a good or bad example, right?
Yeah. And all the wishing of the world's not going to bring back the past. I
Mhm.
mean, you just go forward. I've seen parents that were just really, really bad. And their children, they still love you. They may resent you, but they love you. And if you can make that bond at the end, after you realize, okay, I did wrong, let me see, I can't fix it, but let me see if I can be better from this point on. We always want our kids to be better. A lot of times the parents need to be better too, because as you say, there's no directions. And if you show me a perfect parent, yeah, you're
Well,
either,
perfect from the perspective of the child thinking they're perfect parent, because the parents still probably did an unjust by letting that kid be so free spirited or this or that. Who knows? I mean, it's just a perfection based on whose view.
I remember, I think I've told you this story that just before I preface that, some people said, well, why didn't you slap her when she said this? But when she turned 18, I remember she looked at me and she said, Mom, you're not as stupid as I thought you had were before.
Backhand slap compliment there.
And it's like, I could have taken that as being rude, but that wasn't the way she meant it. I could
Right.
see it in her face. She meant that all those times she thought that I was stupid, maybe I was actually smart and trying to help her.
Yes.
So now she has two children, which the last one graduates this year. And I think she understands that mommyhood's a little bit harder than it, especially when you have teenagers, than it was than you thought it was. You thought we were just up there to dangle the carrot in front of them, but it's people. People need to look. Kids need to look at their parents as they're trying
Yes.
and have discussions. I mean, not talk back discussions, but have discussions with your parents. I was lucky enough my kids talked to me. But I hear so many parents, especially nowadays, my kids don't have conversations with me. They holler at me when they don't like something I do, but we don't talk. And
Yeah.
I think one of the reasons is this thing right here.
Yeah.
It's you know, at the dinner table, people sit with their phones in front of them, looking at their phones. There's no conversation going on,
Yeah.
and that's a huge pitfall, I do believe, in the world right now.
Well, I went out Monday with my two out of three of my daughters. Yes, I'm a girl mom, and so talk about it not being easy. Anywho, I had two of my daughters for for dinner. We went to a sushi place, and it was really cool because we weren't on our phones. We actually were talking and just enjoying our meal and stuff. And it was just really nice to say, look at my two adult girls. They got great professions, and they're doing real well, and despite everything, they still did better. And so I'm really, really proud. And again, it's a privilege to still be their parents. It's a privilege when they include us in things, and not feel that as a parent, as a mother, we're entitled for them to, listen to us and be disciplined still at, adult age of how to tell them how to be and stuff. That's not how back in the day, that's how it was, at least it was growing up, but was it the same for you, Cheryl?
Oh yeah, and I could not even have fathomed asking my dad a question back when he told me to do something. You just did it. And
Yeah.
you never asked why, you never asked when, you just did it and you didn't bring it up. And it wasn't because I was afraid of dad. It was just out of total respect. That's how we were brought up.
Yeah. So it's funny when I'm with my dad, there'll sometimes, be some triggers of, he just thinks he could rule the roost. And I'm like, no, dad, I love you, but we ain't there no more, So, but yeah, it's one of those things where you just gotta really look in the mirror and say, hey, who do you think you are? Because you've got a title of mom or dad. It's more than that. It really is. So
And what all these ladies and gentlemen that are watching us, you've got to realize those kids are the ones that are going to change our diapers one day.
yeah, yeah. They have
Don't
the
be,
last
don't be too rude to them now.
yeah, they have the last laugh. Just remember that. They do. And you just never know when you're gonna need them. So it really is interesting the seasons of with parents. There's some people that are, strained and then they get back together and that's a wonderful thing because we should have chances and we all grow in different ways. So but again, it's one of those things where being a parent because you gave labor does not mean it that's not where it starts and ends.
No, and it goes on forever. It's kind of my son's grown. He's a grown man, and we were talking the other day, and I said, you'll always be my baby. One reason because if I have another one, there is a lot of money in my future. But and he just grinned. But the the good or the bad about it now is the older I get, my physical limitations are not where they used to be. And it's really hard to ask your kids to do things for you. But
Yeah.
so it's, I mean, they're not major things, they're just getting things you can't do. It's you've got to realize my time's turning at this point because as I move forward, I'm assuming the physical limitations grow less and less. So I'm not planning on getting there anytime soon, kids, in case you're listening. But it's just that's where we're at. The world evolves; it goes from one way to the other, and if we're lucky enough to have our children live older than we are, I think that's super. I mean, I've noticed so many younger people dying lately and
Mm.
before their parents. And I can remember my father predeceased my grandmother, and I can remember the thing she said is, you know, no mother should live to be older than her child. And
Yeah.
I'm now beginning to understand exactly what she said.
Yeah.
But you keep hold them tight, and that's the mother's perspective. Hold them tight.
Yeah. That's and again, we every moment is precious. Every moment we don't know if we have the next. And we take that so much for granted. Nicole says here, for me, I believe every parent does the best they can in each moment. I also believe that you can ask each child and they can see their lives differently. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, and Nicole says, my mom lost two of my younger brothers. W- They were 8 and 10 years old. Yeah, or 8 and 10 years younger than me. Wow. Yeah, that's difficult as well. Losing a child and thinking about where how they would have been, and all that stuff. I mean, I would have had a child in '84, and so I'm like, it's just every year I'm like, gosh, So, anyways, it's you just never know, and it's one of those difficult things to say. You know, you just you just never know. That's all I can say about that.
And it's I know that's a sad thing. We try not to hit on that here, but
Yeah.
that should make Mother's Day, that should make Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, it doesn't have to be Mother's Day, more important to show your children that you respect them, that not just on Mother's Day is it time for moms and kids to come together. It's every day, every year.
Yeah. Mom has passed. Wow. Yeah, we could take things for granted for so long and we don't know how we did with them and then we don't know how we did without. And count your blessings every day and that's what we love to talk about here is whatever comes to mind and what hits our hearts and just so that what you think is is matters to us. So if you have any feedback on anything we ever speak about, feel free to let us know and let us share and talk about that because we love to talk about whatever we want to, right, Cheryl?
We do. And
Yeah.
I so enjoyed Sunday with having I had all except my grandson there. He had to work. But to look across the table at dinner and seeing them where they were, what they had become, from a mother's perspective, just what we're talking about, it was a great day.
Aw, yeah. I've learned to listen more to my kids than suggest. Sure did change our relationships. Absolutely. There's a lot of times my kids are sharing personal things going in their life or their relationships and I stop and thinking, "Wow, wait a second. They're sharing this with me, their mom." Like it's so it's not an entitlement, but it's a blessing. It's a gift just and the same thing goes with I probably think I'm the best mother-in-law there ever was because I don't meddle, I don't get into their relationships, and yet I've got a pretty good relationship with my son-in-laws. I leave them alone, they leave me alone for right now. We've got love and respect, and I just appreciate that they love their my daughters, and you know so and we have my youngest daughter's been dating somebody almost a year now, and he seems to make her happy too. So, I'm pretty blessed with that. Yeah, I got a text from my Marine on Mother's Day and spent weekend with my daughter. How sweet. That's awesome. Thanks for his service. That's awesome. So, anything we want to say before we leave here, Sheryl?
Other than just keep your hearts open and keep your kids near, regardless of whether they live close or not. We got too much technology now not to have our kids near.
Yep, I agree. So, everyone, we wish you a great day as every day, and do whatever you want, but make sure you're happy. Think those happy thoughts, and we'll see you next Wednesday. How about that?
That
So,
works for me.
all right. Thank you, everybody. Have a good day.
Bye bye.
You're like a circle that floats around me.